Hello everyone, I'm here with my latest Gothlit November installment. Today we welcome back Sweetie Todd and the Master of Stormy Heights. Is that his name?
Stormy Heights Manor.
Stormy Heights Manor, the Master of Stormy Heights Manor.
So this year I joined my mother in the Gothic November just as I did last year, and today I read far many more books. The first book I read was a nonfiction, The Invention of Murder, which I discovered in the Marble Fawn bookshop in Pickering Wharf of Salem, Massachusetts. It's a nonfiction novel going over how people went about crime and murder in the 1800s or the Victorian age. And it's written by the author Judith Flanders. I think she did a very good job of executing the topic. I don't want to give too much away, but there is a brief mention of like people such as Jack the Ripper. I don't know if you've heard of the Burke and Hare body snatching business. And there's a lot of good content in here. It may be triggering for some people, such as like mentions of the hangings and trials, but other than that, I found it very interesting and engaging.
During Christmas break, we read in tandem these Victorian Christmas ghost stories. We didn't read all of them, just a few, but I liked the Elizabeth Gaskell one. Was it Elizabeth Gaskell? Yeah, the
Yes.
old nurse's story. That was good. I think the Lord of the Manor needs to go do something. I'll be right back. Hi, Stormy. He did a good job.
We'll bring him back at the end.
Okay. It's okay. So, what did you think of these stories?
Well, we only read a few of them, but as for the ones that we did read, I found them, they had like this, at the end, they both had like some sort of surprise that you might not have been expecting, but of course, some people would be able to interpret it. I did in the first one.
Yeah.
And if you people like mysterious, like old tellings of tales, especially around the holidays when you might want a little bit get away from the Christmas cheer and just be more in like the Gothic realm, then they're for you.
That was definitely for us this year. Yeah. Let's see. I read Sleepy Hollow. This is a book that I didn't go over in my last wrap-up video, and this is just a short little read by Washington Irving, and it's excellent. So I'll read the back for you. Sleepy Hollow is a strange little place. Some say bewitched. Some talk of its haunted valleys and streams, the ghostly woman in white, eerie midnight shrieks and howls, but most of all, they talk of the Headless Horseman, a huge, shadowy soldier who rides headless through the night, terrifying unlucky travelers. Schoolteacher Ichabod Crane is fascinated by these stories, until late one night, walking home through Wiley's swamp, he finds that maybe they're not just stories. And I think that you would really enjoy this. I don't really want to give away any spoilers, but there's a lot of humor in here, and I think that you would appreciate the way that it's written. So if you haven't read Sleepy Hollow, highly recommend.
So I think this is the second book I read. It's called, you probably have heard of it, it's The Turn of the Screw by Henry James. And if you like the movie versions of this event, The Innocents is a good adaptation of this book. So basically, it's about these two orphan children, and this governess comes to take care of them because they live with their uncle, but he's like an important nobleman and he has business to attend to. So they live in his country estate, and the young governess comes and takes care of them. But according to the back, she soon begins to feel a malign presence, and believing that the children are in mortal danger, she sets her will against the powerful evil forces abroad, a battle for their very souls. So, in short, there's ghosts in it. So if that's something you enjoy, like the haunting of the souls of the dead, then it's for you. And again, the movie does a very good way of like portraying the film.
Yeah. I think this is 1961. Deborah Kerr is amazing. It's a really, really well done film. There's several adaptations of this. This one is probably the best. I heard that the others starring Nicole Kidman is loosely based on this. So I might have to get around to seeing the others at some point. I also gave this a reread this year because I know you were reading it, and there's just so much that I want to say about this book. It's honestly one of my favorite books. It's creepy as hell, I think, personally. I think it might be scarier for someone my age rather than yours, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I wasn't scared by it at all.
Yeah, but there's so much I want to say about it, but I would be giving away too much. I just feel like the things that I want to talk about, the questions I want to ask you, they would be spoilers. So anyway, highly recommend, but it's not for everyone because there are,
it's hard to interpret for some people as well. So.
I guess, you know, that might just be, yeah, you might be like, oh, this was boring, I didn't get it. But yeah, he touches upon some things in here that might not be for everybody.
Now, my mother told me this had Gothic elements in it, but it's not exactly considered Gothic by many.
Right.
You've probably heard of it. It's called The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. I think I said that right. And there's a movie version of this too that I saw, I think I was 8. So that was like basically 6 years ago.
We'll watch it again soon.
But I think the movies in that set were good anyway. So again, if you like movies more than books, then feel free to go ahead and see that. But I'll read the back. So, orphaned Mary Lennox is sent to live with her uncle at Misselwaite Manor, a remote mansion in the Yorkshire moors. She's a lonely child and miserable until she stumbles upon the key to an overgrown secret garden that has been locked for 10 years. The discovery brings a miraculous change in Mary and leads to Misselwaite Manor keep giving up its dark secret. So, I enjoyed this story, and as I mentioned before, I had seen the movie when I was younger, but this is a good refresher for it. I like the language in this because it's in the Yorkshire moor. A lot of the characters speak in like a Yorkshire accent, so I laughed a little bit reading some of the dialogue. But again, it's not really like a gothic novel. It's more like lighthearted, and I guess there could be some triggering scenes, but I don't want to mention anything. Like, there's someone with a disability in it, if that may trigger you. But it's a good story. If you like more lighthearted themes, I would pick it up, and it still has the gothic elements to it.
Yeah.
Okay. This was my favorite book by far of the challenge. It is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. I thought the language was like very beautiful. I love the way he writes, and I saw a movie version from was it the 40s or 50s?
The 40s.
40s. So that, like, it wasn't like the best adaptation, but the acting was good in it, and there are other versions, like I think there was a 2017 something of it, but like they're worth checking out, and if you like the movies more than the books. But as for the book itself, I can read the back. When having his portrait painted, Dorian Gray declares he would give anything to stay useful, even his soul. Dorian descends into a life of decadent excess, and while he retains his youthful looks, the portrait becomes horrifically disfigured. Oscar Wilde's only novel is a dark, Faustian fable of wish fulfillment that leads to an inescapable day of reckoning. So this is definitely gothic, and it's kind of dark. Like, Dorian starts out, he's young, and then he gets older, and you kind of see how like the portrait has its effect and all that. It's once again, it's very beautifully written. It has a lot of likable characters, and it's definitely worth checking out.
You know, I haven't read that, but I'm well acquainted with the story. I had seen that classic movie version that I showed you many times and loved it. It was like one of my favorite movies growing up. But I'm definitely going to read that for this year's challenge. I should, right?
Yeah, I think you'll enjoy it, because like the movie was good, but again, it had a lot of inaccuracies and kind of annoyed me. But
yeah, they were minimal though. I think that it conveyed the spirit of it, right? They didn't make many really drastic changes, right?
Yeah. And something I should mention, I don't know if you've noticed, but the 3 fictional stories I read, they all had this same look to them. The publisher I got them from is called Chiltern Publishers. They're a British company, and I love like they sell like all classic novels, and they have like journals and stuff too. All of the pages have like either this gold or silver, and it's kind of like a 3D feel on the cover, and they're just beautiful copies, and they have like a built-in bookmark, and the pages are also really smooth, and I love these copies so much. Like, they're the only ones I'll get now. They're $25 each, so like if you get too many of them at once, you'll say, oh, I just spent a lot of money on books, but like one at a time, it's a good price for what they are, and they're classic novels, so like, why not?
It's a good thing to ask for as a gift. Yeah. And she's asked for quite a few, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to talk about this guy?
Sure. So in Salem, which we love going to, I got this dress there, and actually 80% of my jewelry, but it's called a tea pet, and we got him at a tea shop in Salem. What's the place called, Mom?
What is the place called? The tea shop? Deal and Marcus or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. But if you ever go to Salem, it's pretty noticeable. I think it used to be a bank right next to the right of, I think, Red's Cafe. It's a great place for lunch, by the way, or breakfast. And
Definitely.
then to the right of it, there's this building, and there's 2 stairways going up, and it's the tea shop, and they have this little guy, and they sell tea, and like, it's like loose leaf tea, and it's all really good. I love their, if you ever go, I recommend the, what's it called?
Is it vanilla and rose? Is that what
Black vanilla rose
Black
tea.
vanilla rose.
And it's absolutely delicious. I can't get enough of it with little sugar. And they sell soaps as well, and candles. Everything's like handmade there, and the service is good. The people are really nice.
Yeah.
And it's like, it has a Gothic feel to it even, I think.
Yeah.
So I love going in there. And we got this little guy at their online shop.
I know. So cute. I suppose I should mention that I delved into some more Poe after my last wrap-up video. I read Ligeia, and it was probably one of my favorites of his that I've read. I haven't read too much Poe, as I've mentioned before. I sort of shunned him because I was a snob in high school. I didn't really want to read any American authors. I only really read like European and other people from the rest of the world, but I would say that that might be my favorite that I've read so far, aside from his poetry. Again, it's Poe, so it's pretty dark, and he's lamenting the death of his wife, and he remarries, and all sorts of strange things happen when that wife also dies. And I'm probably giving away too much, but I really don't know how to talk about it without giving spoilers. If you know Poe, you kind of get the idea. So.
Yeah, I have a whole unit in school. It's just Edgar Allan Poe right now.
Yeah? Yeah.
It's my teacher makes a lot of the units like kind of long and torturous, but I like we've read the short stories, The Telltale Heart and The Black Cat. They're both good, and we've read some poetry. And I like his writing style. I like the language he uses. But it's not my favorite, but it is, his work is worth checking out.
We read The Telltale Heart in school too. I haven't read it since. I mean, that's a good story. I don't know as I read The Black Cat. How about this one?
Oh yeah. So at the start of the challenge, my mother and she found this short novel. We read it. Did we read it in one day?
I think it took us a couple of days because we had some things to do.
It was like you can read it in one day if you're just on your own, nothing going on.
It's not a short story though. It's just
it's
a short novel.
It's called We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson, and basically it's like these 2 sisters who are shunned by society, and you don't really know, like, there's a lot of references to their past in it, and you don't really know what's going on for most of it, and then they reveal it at the end, and it's like a big shock. Again, the language in here is very good. There's a cat in it. I love cats, so obviously I like it.
I liked that cat.
And yeah, it's kind of like mysterious, like dark. I like the way it was written, and you're always guessing about what happens throughout it, and it's worth checking out.
Definitely.
So recently, I have my class. I have to do a biography project on a not historical figure, I would say this figure, but a famous person, like some celebrity of some sort. We have to, like, a biography. I have to do a book report on them, and around the time I had just been watching like versions of Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, and like movies about her, and I took an interest to her husband, Percy Shelley. He was a poet, and so that's who I'm doing my biography on. I have to do the project this weekend, actually, but So Anne Rowe did a very good job executing it. It's not your traditional biography. I'm actually like not done reading it, but it's not like he doesn't start from his childhood. Like, it kind of, I think he's 20 at the beginning of it, and then it goes, like, it briefly mentions his childhood, and it's like all over the place. But there's like different themes throughout it, and the things she goes over kind of like, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like they kind of fit together with the
different themes. Yeah.
And like he had a very interesting life. His ideas were very like worth looking into. Like he claimed to be an atheist and was very adamant about it, but like he had all these philosophical ideas, and he always like referenced like the Greek gods and stuff in his work, which I consider myself a Hellenist, so I love the Greeks and all that, but like I feel like he kind of had his own religion, if you know what I mean, and he reflected it in his works and his actions in life, and I find it really interesting, and wrote like a very good job of portraying his life.
Yeah. We consider it sort of part of our Gothic literature studies, right? Because Percy Shelley wrote Gothic works, and he was married to Mary Shelley, and
his life was Gothic.
His life was Gothic, yes, definitely, and he was influenced by and influenced other writers like Mary with his ideas. So this is quite fitting, and I've been reading it myself. I'm not as far into it as she is, but whenever I pick it up, I find it very engaging, very easy to read because I find it so interesting, and I do find myself sort of daydreaming about some of his ideas, and I feel like I know on many points we're very like-minded, and I think you mentioned something similar.
Yeah, he's a very relatable person, but he's also, he might be hard to understand, but to others you might be like, oh my god, that's exactly what I think. So
yeah, definitely, for sure. So if you like Percy Shelley or want to learn more about him, this biography by Anne Rowe is a good one. What else do we have? How about we talk about some of the movies we watched? So we watched, you know, the iconic 1931 Frankenstein starring Boris Karloff, and we watched The Bride of Frankenstein, which is like a sequel to it. And what did you think of it? You thought it was...
I certainly liked, so we watched more than one version. I like the later versions much better, because this was more like kind of loosely based on this. I haven't read Frankenstein. I've been meaning to, but I haven't yet.
Yeah.
Even though I haven't read it, I know the other version we watched was very accurate. Compared to it, these earlier versions weren't too on point. I mean, they were fun, they were entertaining, but like if you want the actual Gothic elements, these are more of just like kind of like fun, like family night, whatever.
Yeah.
And then as for the other version we watched, which was, is this the one with the guy?
Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah, and Helena Bonham Carter plays Frankenstein's lover in it, and she's a great actress. I love her, not just for Harry Potter. She's done many good things. And was this the 90s?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this story, I think, did a very accurate telling. The acting was like on point.
It's very dramatic, very operatic, right? Like very Kenneth Branagh. Very good. And I think it was like produced by Coppola. And you know, I want to say, I didn't cut you off, did I?
No.
Okay. I want to say though, after rereading Frankenstein, and after having watched this, that I sort of have a new appreciation for this, because although it deviates from the original story in many ways, I have a new appreciation for it because I noticed that there are different themes in this that maybe you don't find as much in Mary Shelley's novel. Like, I noticed a tension between the classes that I mentioned in my other video. You could see how the actions of these wealthy landowners were wreaking havoc on the people, on the poor people. It's like they were the victims of these rich people who had nothing better to do with their time rather than just like create monsters, for lack of a better word. I found that really intriguing. And it wasn't directed badly at all. And this inspired a lot of films to come, with the way that they played with the light and the shadow and everything. But this is definitely fantastic. Very close to the original story. And we watched a couple of movies on the Shelleys. We watched Rowing with the Wind. It's here, like, right here. And
it stars Hugh
funny.
Grant.
Yeah, it's like, this is called like the Hugh Grant collection. I don't know, it's so funny. Hugh Grant is who? Do you remember?
He's Lord Byron.
Lord Byron.
So,
yeah.
As you probably know, Hugh Grant's a great actor. Now, this movie, we kind of, like, the scenes weren't probably meant to be humorous, but we found them to be, and we found there was laughing at some scenes. There were some inaccuracies to the events of the real world, but it was a good movie. We watched a later version telling the same story of Mary Shelley's life. I forget the actress in them, but it was also good, but it was obviously more like nowadays, like Hollywood and all that.
Hollywood up, yeah.
Both versions were good. The Hugh Grant one is more like traditional, but still like a little silly. But like Mary Shelley's life, they're both good movies. They're both
good movies. I liked Rowing with the Wind better, the one from the 80s, because I found it more atmospheric. The scenery and the costumes were fantastic. I mean, they were in Italy and Switzerland, and it was just gorgeous. And after reading more about Percy Shelley, it made me appreciate the strangeness of that movie even more, because I'm like, wow, okay, so, you know, a lot of these things, I guess, did happen. And one of the things that I mentioned out loud, I think the first time we were watching the movie, is I was like, why does he have some gray in his hair? He was only like 27 when he died, right? Was he 27 or 29?
29.
Oh, 29. I'm thinking, 27 club. But reading the biography, what did we learn? That he went prematurely gray, probably because he was, always so high strung. Like, he was so strung out with his ideas, and his mind was always working. So I was like, I have even more of an appreciation for this strange movie now, Rowing with the Wind. We watched The Uninvited. Do you remember what this one was about?
Oh, yeah. So, like, this is another one about, like, ghosts and stuff. So, again, like, if that's for you, it's a good movie. Hold on, I remember what it's about. I'm just trying to, like...
Do you want me to read the back?
No, I can come up with a description. So, like, it was the siblings, right?
Yes.
So, like, I think they were, like, of a noble class. It's set in the time it was made, so what, like
they had enough money to buy a mansion, so...
Yeah, so it was like the 50s, probably.
I think that it was from the 40s.
Oh, the 40s, okay.
1944.
So, it's about this brother and sister, and they're of, like, the higher class, and they find this mansion, and it's been avoided by the public because there's rumors it's, like, a haunt, and this man owns it, whose daughter lived in the house. But he doesn't use it. It's in his name, rightfully. And his granddaughter, who is the daughter of the woman who lived and died in that house, she doesn't want anyone to take it because it was her mother's house. She's very, like, possessive over it. But these two siblings, they come in and they're like, we're intrigued by this. We want to buy this house. Or it's a mansion, actually. So they get it. And eventually the brother, like, becomes romantically involved with the granddaughter of the man, and like strange things start happening, like the typical ghost story, and like by the end they figure it all out, and it's well made. It's not for everyone, but I found it intriguing.
Yeah, it was well done. And it wasn't like too scary. And we watched The Seventh Victim, which was actually pretty dark. The premise of that, I'm not going to talk about it here, but it was pretty dark. If you know it, you know. It was a good movie. But also we watched I Walked with a Zombie. That one was a lot of fun, right? What did you think of I Walked with a Zombie? I really liked it.
Yeah, I liked it.
You didn't like the guy with the eyes, right? The voodoo guy.
I liked him, but I also was like, get out of my face. Get out of my face.
Yeah, I Walked with a Zombie takes place in the Caribbean. What?
I can talk about it.
Okay.
I was like,
Okay.
in my head I like had both of those movies in one, and I didn't know what I was thinking. But so I Walked with a Zombie. So this nurse comes to this home, and the wife of the master of the home is like, she doesn't really have like a mind of her own. Like, she's just a body without a soul, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And like the voodoo, like I think they're the African people, like with the voodoo, like they're attracted by this woman because they're like, she doesn't have a soul. Maybe we can like get it out of her, like make her come alive. And just strange things happen, and like the voodoo people are heavily involved. I don't know how to describe it exactly, but like you can probably understand what I'm saying. Yeah, you get the idea of it, of, you know, if it's the kind of movie you're going to want to see. I really liked it. Yeah. I thought it was just one of those really stunningly beautiful classic Gothic films, right? With the shadows and everything. So what else did we watch? Ooh. So this is a modern film. It's called The Prestige, and it's about magicians, which is fitting because we recently in Salem, Salem again, I know, but we went to the Peabody Essex Museum for a Houdini exhibit, and it was all about magicians, right? Magicians, and it was like, and mediums, and like I love all the exhibits there. I have to say, I like the MFA's version more in Boston, but like, it's a good museum. I enjoyed the exhibit there. If you ever go, I don't know how long it's gonna be there for, but if you make it, the Houdini exhibit at the Peabody Essex in Salem. I think it closes in February. Like, we have to go again. Yeah. And anyway, we watched this movie right after, which was very fitting, and it's called, I just said a British accent, it's a British movie. So it's called The Prestige, and it has Hugh Jackman, Christian Bale. I love Christian Bale. Michael Caine, obviously, because it's a Christopher Nolan film, and Michael Caine's obviously in it. Scarlett Johansson, another great actress, and David Bowie's in it. Yeah, David Bowie's in it as Tesla. Yeah, I keep thinking of Elon Musk. So yeah, it's like, it has some dark elements in it. Like, I don't want to give too much spoilers, but like right off the bat, someone who's like a major person in what the main character and Hugh Jackman's character's life, she dies near the beginning, and like it causes a rift between the Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale's characters, and like they're both rivaling magicians, and at the end like they just like turn against each other, and it's kind of like going through the years, like with flashbacks and to present day, and like there's a lot going on, and like you don't know exactly how one of the characters is like doing their tricks for a while, and then like both people, like their secrets are revealed at the end, and they're both like it has a dark ending, but Christopher Nolan is like a very good movie. I enjoyed it very much. I'm going to read the book, The Prestige, so I'm excited about that. Yeah, but like the acting was great. It was extraordinary. Yeah, it's extraordinary, definitely. Yeah, and the Master of Stormy Heights also watched it. The Master of Stormy Heights. Oh yes, he did. He sat there with me, and he was wide-eyed watching the screen. He loves depressing movies. It's a dark cat.
So I will go over very quickly the books I read and just try to rate them. So I read, as you know, Uncle Silas by Joseph Sheridan Le Fanu, 4 stars. The Turn of the Screw by Henry James, 5 stars. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow by Washington Irving, 5 stars. The Hacienda by Isabella Canas, 4.5. Russian Gothic by Alexander Skorobogatov. I guess 5 stars because it was just so well written. The Sandman and some of the other tales, I didn't read all of them yet, by Hoffman. I don't know if I can rate it yet because I haven't read them all, but The Sandman is definitely a 5 star. Tenebrae by Ernest G. Hennum, 3 stars. The Cambridge Companion to Gothic Fiction, 5 stars. Richard Brautigan, The Hawkline Monster. You guys know I had an issue with this, but I suppose I would still give it 4 stars. Even though, yeah. O Caledonia by Elspeth Barker, 5 stars. Ligeia by Edgar Allan Poe, 4 stars. The Autobiography of My Mother by Jamaica Kincaid, 5 stars. We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson, 5 stars. Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, 5 stars. I feel like I'm giving too many books 5 stars. Really, honestly, maybe more of these should be 4. And then this is going to be a 5-star book, or 4.5. Gothic Literature, 1764 through 1824. So is there anything that you learned from any of these novels this year? Or anything that you found applicable to your own life, things that you've been through, maybe something that you're going through now, or maybe a lesson for other people?
Really just the ideas in the books that are brought up I relate to. Like the Dorian Gray kind of got me questioning, like, would I give up my soul for youth? Because
That's a good question.
Like, it's definitely has its perks. Like, if you can remain good inside, then
Well,
yeah.
Well, let's not give away any spoilers, but yeah, I mean, we know how that went. For me, Frankenstein was very applicable this year. I mean, there's so many things that I could say about this novel, but really, I would say my takeaway is it's so important to be there as a parent and to show your children love. Or if for people who are orphans, like, just to have someone that loves them, companionship. And it's also all about creating your own agency, being your own person, especially when it feels like everyone is against you. Are you going to be a monster and wreak havoc on everyone? Or
Well, I'll have to rate my own books, Mom.
yeah, you want to rate your books?
Yeah, where is the murder book? Okay, so as for the books I read, I have my own ratings. I don't know how my mom does 5. I have to do out of 10 because it's more of a broader scale and it's easier. The Invention of Murder by Judith Flanders, I'd probably give either an 8.5 or a 9. Not all of the stories were as interesting as others. Like, I found the Burke and Hare very interesting, but it was definitely, there's like notes at the bottom of the page for more information. It was definitely presented well and it was written very well. But some of like the stories of the murders were more interesting than others and vice versa. So I have to give it an 8, but it's overall a very good book.
I didn't think of 10 stars. I like that.
And that's what I always do.
Huh.
Being Shelley by Anne Rowe, The Poet's Search for Himself. So I haven't finished it yet, but so far, I'd give it like an 8.5 and 9 again, because like some of the aspects of his life were very interesting, and others may not have been needed to be included. But it's a very like very, very well presented again. And I love Percy Shelley. His life is very interesting. Like, there's a lot going on all the time for him, so. The Turn of the Screw by Henry James. Now, this book, I find it to be written very well, like, just a beautiful book. Except the story itself isn't exactly for me. So, I'd give it, like, a 6.5 or a 7, only because, like, it doesn't interest me too much, but, like, the story, like, the ghost, like, the story itself, it's a very good story. Just, like, for me, I'm turning 14 in 2 weeks. I'm, like, you know, it's not the best story for me. So, I'd give it, like, a 7. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. Like, a 9. It was, I liked this story. It was very lighthearted, but it was good, like, the likable characters and all that. But, like, again, there were some, like, slower scenes that may not have been needed to be in there. And then lastly, The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. A 10. Like, definitely.
Yeah.
My favorite story. I could read this over and over again.
Oh, great.
The characters were very likable. It was so well written, and, like, I loved the story.
I'm so glad to hear that. I know you were really, really enjoying that book. You kept telling me how much you loved it and that it was the best thing that you read this year, and you hadn't finished it. You were like halfway through it or something.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I really have to read that too.
Yeah,
I can't believe,
like,
I haven't read that.
Like, the way that Oscar Wilde writes, it's just, like, it's so engaging. Like, you can't put the thing down. Like, I would be reading instead of doing homework. Like, it was so interesting.
I've read some of his plays, but
yeah, like, it really makes you question some things about your life, like the way it's written and, like, the events that happen. And again, like, one of the main characters' name is Basil. He's the one who paints Dorian's portrait. I love him. Like, I love all the characters. And, like, there's a lot of speculation about what was going on behind the scenes in the characters' minds. And, like, Oscar Wilde himself was, like, kind of, like, I think he had, like, some affair with another man that was, like, very out of the picture, like, rare for that time. So, like, he kind of, like, expressed himself through the novel, I feel. Like, a lot of good writers do that.
yeah.
And I love the story. Like, definitely 10 stars.
Excellent. So is there anything else that we wanted to discuss?
Well, for, like, the city of Gothic in general, if you ever end up in Massachusetts, if you're able to get to Salem, MA, definitely go. There's a lot of good shops. People, if you're into Gothic, there's going to be a lot of people there who you can relate to. Like the 1925 shop is definitely a highlight. There's a sister store at the Hawthorne. Emporium 32 is the main shop, and then the sister store is 1925 at the Hawthorne.
Yeah.
It's like the flapper era, like all this old jewelry. They have Turkish lamps. Mom's probably shown them in her videos before.
Yeah.
It's a cute little shop. They've got a lot of good things, and the prices are good. And they sell the Chiltern novels there.
Yeah, they do.
And again, they have, like, the tea shop I mentioned. Another good highlight, I like Bewitched in Salem because I consider myself to be a Hellenist. They have a lot of great sculptures there.
They do.
Like, I don't know if you're familiar, like, if you have children, any of you, they have a line of the Furry Bones figurines. Like, those little skeletons with, like, a costume over them. I think they're adorable, and I collect them. So, like, it's definitely, like, not just for you, but, like, if you have, like, a child, or, like, maybe you're going with your niece or nephew or something, then, like, it's definitely engaging for more than one age group. Really, all the shops are good. I can't pick one, but Pickering Wharf is worth visiting. They have the Marble Fawn there. There's the Enchanted store. They have more sculptures, like stones and crystals. It's just, like, everything in that area is great. So, like, again, if you end up in Massachusetts or if you live here, definitely go to Salem if you haven't already. Hello again, everyone. Here comes the end of our video. We hope you enjoyed and you take our suggestions. We have our little master back for the end. Sleepy.
Yeah.
But Stormy here, it's a very gothic cat, I've noticed. Like, he enjoys watching the old films. He enjoys having poetry read to him. And he's always causing mischief around the house, so I don't know, I never believed in it before, but maybe the superstition about black cats and bad luck could be true. But again, for every piece of bad luck, he's given us good luck as well.
It's true.
It's his cute little face. And he brought his little toy up. This little coffin. Oh
no. Okay.
See, he's unpredictable, but still a cute little thing.
Very cute little thing. All right, well, on that note, we should probably go follow our master.
Yes, we should. He'll be wanting his supper soon.
Yes. Well, thank you for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed. Until next time, bye.
Bye.